And so we are starting out pretty nice, not too bad, feeling pretty comfortable. Traffic was nice and light. However, things are going to change this afternoon, right, Majestic?
Yeah, well, it kind of depends on where you are because it's actually pretty active for areas north of Charlotte right now.
Okay.
So it's kind of a tale of two different stories. Either you're waking up to fine, quiet conditions, or you're waking up to very strong storms and heavy, heavy downpours. So we are under a weather impact alert today, especially as we head towards the afternoon for Charlotte specifically. But if you're outside of Charlotte, you're already seeing very active conditions. So let's get straight into it. I want to kind of give you perspective. This is where we already have heavy downpours passing through. So our mountain counties and then areas right along I-40 just north of that. You can tell how wet the area roadways are. We are concerned about flooding today. That is our primary risk. And I'm not just talking up to the mountains. I'm talking about here in Charlotte too. It's just going to take a little bit longer to get to us. Areas up by Lake Norman, you already have rain that's heading your direction here fast. We're talking about rain and strong storms. So flooding, strong damaging winds will also be another thing that we'll be monitoring, and then frequent lightning. And when I say we're seeing two different things, I'm not kidding you, because that was one of our cameras where we have that active weather pushing through. Here's another one. I mean, we cover a lot of different counties, so it depends on where you're waking up at. Here in Lylesville, out there in Anson County, it's a gorgeous start to your Friday morning, but really a lot of us will be tapping into this rain today. So let's zoom it in. Want to get straight to our Doppler radar because we've been watching this line of strong storms. None of them have been severe yet, but we have learned more and more about the line as it gets closer to us. The National Weather Service can kind of put out nodes detecting, letting us know what they're detecting with these storms. So a lot of them are bringing winds up to around 40 miles an hour. We've seen a little bit of hail associated with some of these storms too. And then you can notice a lot of lightning strikes. So in and around Charlotte, it's not hitting us. Once we head north, though, it's kind of sliding more north and east. So just kind of hitting the northern portion of Lake Norman and then just north of that. That's going to take us into the next hour or two. I wanted to zoom it in even more just to kind of give you that perspective, and then I paused radar. So this is where the rain's really coming down quite intensely. I want to kind of look and see. You can see from Boone over towards Mulberry. That's where we have some very heavy pockets of rain that's creating ponding out on those area roadways. That's also where you need to be mindful. If you live in a flood-prone area, we have this wave that's happening right now, but then we also have another wave moving in for the second half of our Friday. So once we head just a little closer to Charlotte, so you can see there's Huntersville, Mooresville, Statesville. The heavy rain and storms right now are on top of Lincolnton and Maiden, even back towards Hickory. But again, it's tracking north and east. So if you're watching from areas up towards Cornelius or Mooresville, it's going to kind of clip that part. I'm not too certain that it's going to really impact Charlotte at this point, but we will have another wave as we head towards the later half of the day. So zooming out again, you can see the areas being impacted by this active weather, and it is kind of confusing if you're not in one of those counties and you look outside and it looks fine in your neighborhood. That's kind of the setup for us. All right, so we are going to be under a weather impact alert today here in Charlotte from 2 o'clock this afternoon until midnight tonight. We already have that active weather to the north of us, but Charlotte specifically, as you're making your Friday afternoon and evening plans, you need to know that's kind of the time frame for that next wave to push through. Primary risk, again, we're talking about flooding, even flash flooding, rapid rise in rivers, streams, creeks. I think most areas will accumulate around an inch of rain, and I think those areas where you have those training storms, you're going to see upwards of 2 inches. And if you're thinking, well, what is a training storm? It's basically a storm that's not going anywhere. It's in no rush to go anywhere, and it continues to bring rain in the same exact spot over and over again. So downpours, flooding, and gusty winds. That's what we're watching for. And we have had reports of those storms north of Charlotte. They've already developed some hail with them too. Now, throughout the remainder of our Friday, this is now localized to Charlotte. we're going to start seeing more clouds move in. So if you have clouds out, if you have sunshine outside now, enjoy it, because more clouds push through. We will see those scattered showers and storms again anytime after 2 o'clock, but I don't love the timing of it either, because, well, people are going to be driving home from work. Maybe you have kids that are already in school. I know lots of schools have already started here, and I know also they pushed the football games back to yesterday because a lot of schools knew that today the weather was not looking great, and that kind of continues to be the trend for us. So let's kind of time this out for you. We'll get through that first wave. Now this is our Futurecast. This is what radar could look like as we're heading into the 3 o'clock hour. So notice we start to see more cells pop up. I wouldn't say they're widespread. They're going to be very scattered at first. And then as we fast forward a bit more, here's 5 o'clock. This is when things kind of start getting messy right around Mecklenburg County. So the darker the red, indicating oftentimes where we have heavy rain and potentially stronger storms. You need to be ready for thunder, lightning. So if you have any kids who don't love storms, maybe any pets, this is going to be one of those stormy days. Now here's 7 o'clock, fast forwarding and more. Now notice this is not widespread where everyone's receiving it at the same time, but this second half of our Friday is more localized to Charlotte and then areas south and east of us. This morning, it's north of us. All right, so fast forwarding a little bit more as we're heading into the 8 o'clock hour. Starting to move out of Charlotte, right along I-77. It seems like the worst of it is to the east of us, but do you see kind of that secondary line that starts to form up towards Ashwaubenon, Avery counties, even through Morganton? So we'll be seeing kind of secondary waves push throughout the remainder of our Friday. Here's 10 o'clock. Again, Charlotte's pretty dry at this point, but then off to the west of us, from Shelby to Lincolnton up towards Statesville and Taylorsville, you still have that heavy rain coming down. Bottom line, this could be active all the way through midnight. So again, many of you may have woken up from those storms last night, and today could be a similar setup for our Friday. We have a good chance of seeing some of those storms later today actually turn severe. So the Storm Prediction Center has every single one of our counties under that potential for severe storms. Now, if you're in a county shaded in yellow, that's where the level is lower for severe storms. Where it's highlighted in orange, remember I just showed you in our Futurecast, that's where really the bulk of the activity will happen later in the day. That's where some of those storms could become warned. The National Weather Service will warn them. Likely you'll get a notification from your phone letting you know that some of the storms surrounding you will be stronger. Also, make sure you have that Charlotte WCNC app on your phone, and make sure you turn on those notifications so that we can also alert you of any weather that we do see coming in. Plus, it also has a live radar, which I love to see, especially if you're kind of out and about. You can see what's going on around you. Severe weather risk. So today we will be watching for mainly strong damaging winds, especially in that area shaded in orange. When I'm talking about damaging winds, I'm talking about winds that could gust over 60 miles an hour. That's going to be mainly within those thunderstorms, but we could have multiple strong thunderstorms throughout the afternoon and evening. Also, we can't rule out some hail, but I would not be surprised to see some downed trees, to see some downed power lines. It seems like when we have a setup like this, it just happens. So if you have things outside that might get damaged, whether by heavy rain or wind, I would make sure it's all good to go. Now, this is also interesting. So this is our excessive rain impacts for today. When we have yellow, it just means that kind of the flooding risk overall is increased. So those training storms, I think that's what's going to do it. We will have high rain rates, and then when the storm just goes over the same place over and over again, then all of a sudden you got yourself a little bit of an issue when we're talking about the potential of flooding, especially in those low-lying areas. So over the next 12 hours, things still look fine here in Charlotte for the next few. If you want to get outside, I think you're good to go until about 2-3 o'clock. That's when we'll start to see a few storms pop up. They'll be isolated at first, and then they become a bit more scattered, all right? So notice as we progress into the later half of the evening, 6, 7, 8 o'clock at night, it's going to be really messy. And again, ponding out on those area roadways, never a good setup when we know a lot of people will be out and about traveling, getting off of work, plus it's a weekend, you want to be out and about doing things. This is live now, taking us to our Dallas camera. You can see those clouds way up high, but also kind of clear skies off to the distance. So depending on where you are, what you're seeing, it's a little different. We're at 64 degrees up there in Boone. We're at 76 here in Charlotte. Sherrod checking in at 81. Our high temperatures today, I think we'll see a good mix of upper 80s and low 90s. So that's another part of our weather story. Remember yesterday I was saying, okay, one more day of that really high heat and high humidity. Today we start to see the changes, the unsettled weather, the rain, the storms, and then temperatures start to drop back down to where we should be for this time of the year, and then eventually the dew points drop, which means a nice drop in our humidity. So rain, plan for that for your Friday evening and Friday night, lingering a little bit into our Saturday morning. Once we get through the rain on Saturday morning, I think the rest of our weekend looks nice, especially on Sunday. Sunday is going to be gorgeous. Sunny skies, low 90s, relatively low humidity. Then the low humidity, it lasts into early next week too. Rain chances will have a little bit of a break, but then it seems like next week we'll see more rain in the forecast too. So these dew points, when you step outside in the morning or in the afternoon, the dew points have typically been in the 70s. That is incredibly high. It means that we have a lot of moisture in the air. When we see our dew points drop down into the 50s, that means that we are not dealing with saturated air, but rather we're dealing with dry air. Dry air feels really good, especially when you have temperatures in the 60s. And that's what we're going to see as soon as Monday morning. So really take advantage of this nice break from the humidity in the coming days. Now, it won't be today. Won't be tomorrow. You might notice a little bit of a difference on Sunday, and I really think Monday and even Tuesday will be quite enjoyable. Might even be to the point where in the morning you're waking up, temperatures are in the mid 60s, you have hardly any humidity. I love to open up my windows and let in nice fresh air, and that would be a great time to do that. Weekend forecast, it looks like this as we are heading into our Saturday and Sunday. Saturday we have a small chance for a pop-up shower storm. It's mainly in the morning. Once we get through that, the second half of our day should be great. Sunday is my pick of the weekend, definitely the day that I'm going to get outside and enjoy. Again, we'll see a mix of upper 80s and low 90s across the area. And then Jury Hunt Supercenter 7-day forecast. The active weather is to the north of Charlotte right now, but the weather that we're seeing is already problematic. That strong line of storms, it is coming down heavily. The sky is turning dark. Those winds are picking up, and those storms are even producing hail. That's kind of a peek into our future here in Charlotte, anytime between 2 o'clock this afternoon and midnight tonight. So that's kind of a big window, but we just want to alert you that those storms could become severe, and if they do, the number one concern, flooding, and then strong damaging winds. We'll get through our weekend weather forecast. Really, today will be the worst of it. This weekend looks quite beautiful. You can see it there. Jerry Hunt Supercenter 7-day forecast. I forgot if I already said that or not. And then on Monday, we'll be waking up to temperatures in the mid to upper 60s. So off to a very mild start to the morning. I think the biggest thing will be that nice drop in humidity. It's going to feel so good. Trust me.
Yay.
The drop in humidity makes a world of a difference. Even though we have temperatures that'll be close to 90 degrees, if you have dew points that are in the 60s, you're doing pretty good. And then throughout the remainder of that 7-day, you can see holding on to the upper 80s, which is exactly where we're supposed to be for this time of the year. And then scattered showers and storms start to move back in, I would say, towards the middle to end of next week.
You felt or heard the thunder, didn't you, Carlene?
Sure did.
Dogs were up.
It woke me and Turkey up. We just
Oh.
popped back up, and then we were like, okay, let me settle
Oh,
back
that was
in.
good. Yeah. I did not.
You
hear
were
it.
sleeping hard, Ben.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Good
but
for you.
But I got up at 4 in the morning. So I'm
I got that.
sleepy
We're dragging
anchor
on a
walking.
Friday. Yeah.
At least they're almost a weekend. It was so
Right.
loud at my house, and the
Really?
lightning was
The
so
lightning.
crazy. Oh my gosh.
And
I
that's
love
a
waking
big
up in the
show.
middle of the night to a storm because
Yeah.
I'm always like, what's going on? Oh, got the forecast right or got the forecast wrong.
Oh,
sometimes.
true.
Yeah.
But last night I was like, okay, check. Good.
Great.
Go back to
All
bed.
All right, and they're in it up there in the mountains already.
Yep, they're coming.
All right, thanks, Majestic.
Thank you.